Hi, I'm Ron and thanks for clicking on this video. In the next few minutes I'm going to show and discuss with you various Dutch ovens that you might consider using when baking your artisan bread. So let's get started. This is the first Dutch oven I've ever owned. I purchased it nearly 50 years ago. It's called a combo cooker, and that's because you can take the lid and use it as a frying pan, which I have done many times, and then the pot can be used for stews or roast or other similar items. But is it a good Dutch oven for baking bread? Well, this size has a quart capacity of 3.2 quarts. So that's a little too small for baking bread or artisan bread. Now, this design is excellent. It's just this particular Lodge Dutch oven is a little small for our purposes. If you were to get the exact same design but in a larger Dutch oven, if they were available, I think this is the only one Lodge makes, and I think Camp Chef has one that's a 4-quart capacity. Both would be a little small for artisan bread. But assuming you were to acquire one a little bit larger, a 5-quart capacity or larger, then you could simply place your dough on the lid and then place the pot over the lid. Or you could place your dough on parchment paper, set it in the pot portion, and then put your lid on here. So the design will work, and it works excellently in an oven in your kitchen, but this one is a little bit too small. You need at least 5-quart capacity for your Dutch oven to work. Here we have a couple of 10-inch Dutch ovens. This is a classic 10 and this is a deep 10. The classic 10 has a quart capacity of 4 quarts, still a little small for artisan bread baking, but the 10-inch deep has a quart capacity of 5 quarts, and a 10-inch deep will work for baking artisan bread. Matter of fact, I've used this particular one to bake over 100 loaves of artisan bread. Works quite well. The only drawback is the legs. It's actually designed for outside cooking, but it will work in an oven. You just have to, in your kitchen oven, you just have to hold it up and then kind of maneuver over the rack in the oven. So the only 10-inch, it's light enough to be able to do that fairly easily. Of course, when you put your dough in there, it'll be a little bit heavier, but the 10-inch deep, 5-quart capacity, an excellent choice. Here we have a classic 12-inch Dutch oven and a deep 12. And by the way, the 12, which is stamped on the lid, and the ones previously had 10 stamped on the lids, refers to the diameter of the Dutch oven. So this is a classic 12. It's 12 inches from side to side. Now it does have a quart capacity of 6 quarts, which meets our 5-quart limit, but it gets most of its capacity from width, not from height. And a 12-inch Dutch oven is borderline too shallow for baking artisan bread. I think when your bread starts to rise, you're going to bump into the lid. Now, a 12-inch deep has an 8-quart capacity, and because it is so deep, will work quite well for baking bread. The drawback for a 12-inch deep is it's quite heavy. So it would be hard to maneuver to get it into your oven in your kitchen. It works quite well baking bread outdoors where you're using coals from a fire or briquettes. Now, when you're baking bread, you need a temperature of around 450 degrees. To get a 350-degree oven, you simply double the number of the oven for briquettes. For example, this is a Dutch oven 12. So 24 briquettes is going to give you a 350-degree oven, which is insufficient for baking artisan bread. But the Dutch oven is large enough, you can get more briquettes on here, or more coals if you're using wood coals from a fire. You would put 8 or 9 around the bottom, and then probably 20 to 30 on the top, but it's big enough to hold that many to generate the 450-degree temperature. You'd probably need about a total of around 36 briquettes to get that temperature. So the 12-inch deep will work. It's a little heavy and cumbersome to use in your kitchen. It's great for baking bread at the campfire outside. Here we have two large 5-quart Dutch ovens without the legs on the bottom. So they go in and out of the kitchen oven quite easily, but would not work as well if you're baking bread outside by the campfire. When I went from baking 1 loaf a day in the 10-inch deep oven to baking 2 loaves a day, I went from the 10-inch deep Dutch oven to these two. And these are the two I use currently. I usually bake about 2 to 4 loaves of bread a day, 5 or 6 days a week. It's a 5-quart capacity. You can purchase these for about $50, and they work quite well. The reason I like this style is when I pull the Dutch oven out and I remove the bread, and then I'll take another one out and take the lid off. What do I do with this hot lid? Well, I can set it over here on top of that one. So I like the fact that there's no loop handle and I can stack them if I need to. These are the two I use currently, and they're excellent choices for baking bread in your kitchen oven. Now, if I were only going to bake 1 loaf of bread a day, I probably would purchase the same Dutch oven, but it comes in a different style. Instead of having the handles on the side, you can also get this same 5-quart Dutch oven with a loop handle. Wouldn't work for me baking 2 loaves a day because you can't stack one on top of the other with the loop handle. But if I was only baking 1 loaf of bread per day, I would buy this Dutch oven with the little loop handle instead of the side handles. Excellent, excellent choice for baking artisan bread in the kitchen, in the home, 5-quart capacity. Here we have a Le Creuset, an excellent, beautiful Dutch oven, which is large enough and deep enough to bake artisan bread. This one is oval shape, obviously, but they do come in round shape as well. The drawback with the Le Creuset is the cost. It usually runs around $300 to $400, and for the same amount of money, you can get 5 or 6 of the traditional cast iron Dutch ovens. But it is an excellent Dutch oven to be used for baking artisan bread, and if you already have one in your home, don't hesitate to use it. With one exception, you can have 2 types of knob. This black type that comes with them often, but you can also get a replacement knob, which is stainless steel. Some of the old Le Creusets, this knob was only good up to 350-degree temperature. The more recent models can take 450, some 480. I've even seen some suggested at 500 degrees. But if I were going to use a Le Creuset Dutch oven for baking artisan bread, I would replace this knob with the stainless steel knob. There's no temperature limitations baking with the stainless steel knob. Here are 2 other containers which can be used for baking artisan bread. They're called the cloche, and they're a clay pot or a stoneware, and they work quite well. I've used both of these, and you simply place your dough in there and place the lid on top of it. They usually run somewhere around $60 to $90. This one is oblong shape. I have used them. Obviously they have held up quite well, but potentially they could be, if you're not careful, they might break or crack or chip if you bang them into something, where they just would not be quite as durable as a traditional cast iron, which costs about half as much. But they are fun to bake with. They're more of a kind of a traditional type method, try to replicate ancient style Dutch ovens. This one is wide enough that I can actually put an oblong loaf of bread in there as well as a round. And of course this one is designed for the oblong shape of your dough instead of a round. But Just want to share these with you. They work excellently. It's just that I don't have to be quite as careful when using traditional cast iron as I do when using these. And so I don't use them very often, but I have used them and they work extremely well. Thanks for watching. Please click the like and subscribe button, and remember to make it a great day.